Hey folks, how's it going? My name is Jay and you are watching Take 2. So what is Take 2? Take 2 is a revisit to a hi-fi product that has already been reviewed on SoundStageHiFi.com. This particular product, the Luxman 380, was reviewed by Oliver Anapol on May 15, 2020, and you can read that review by visiting SoundStageHiFi.com or by clicking on the link below this video. So, this is the Luxman LX-380 integrated tube amplifier. To me, the LX-380 looks and sounds like a historical piece. You know, something that has a story behind it. And in a way, it does. Luxman is a Japanese company that started its business in 1925, which is almost 100 years ago. And over time, they've made many gear that stood the test of time. Now, most of these pieces are highly sought after by vintage audiophile enthusiasts and collectors like myself. In particular, they made a series of vacuum tube integrated amplifiers in beautiful wooden cabinets with aluminum faceplate. These were the SQ38, SQ38D, SQ38F, and so on. They were introduced in 1964, and they were highly popular then for sound, and these days they are still one of the most sought after pieces by vintage audiophiles. So, where does the LX380 fit into this story, or history I should say? Well, as you may have guessed from the beautiful wooden cabinet and use of vacuum tubes, the LX380 represents a new era in the Golden 38 series of vacuum tube integrated amplifiers from Luxman. It is to take something that was great and loved by so many and make it even better. The wooden chassis on the Luxman is absolutely breathtaking, the build quality is state of the art, and no picture or video does it much justice. It looks a lot better in person in my opinion. Looking at the front panel, we have the operation button, which is a power on button. Once you press the button, it starts the warm-up process because this is a vacuum tube integrated amplifier. Once it is ready, the light comes on and you are ready to rock and roll. Now, we won't get into every feature in this video, just the main ones that I found most useful while I was using it in my system. You can read the written review for the other features I haven't mentioned here. So, first thing is first. The volume knob feels really smooth and high quality. Under the volume knob, there is a lettering that reads LECUA. The LX380 is the first vacuum tube integrated amplifier to feature this LECUA, which is a computerized control attenuator from Luxman. According to Luxman, LECUA allows the volume to be adjusted smoothly with the least amount of deterioration in sound quality. Below the volume knob, there is a balance knob, which allows you to adjust the balance of your left and right channel. This comes in handy if you have a channel imbalance problem where one channel is louder than the other. And I've seen this happen before where, the person can't place the speakers in the most ideal spots. This becomes handy. Here we have the input selector. So we have 4 line inputs and 1 phono input for both moving magnet and moving coil cartridges. So for those of you that like to spin vinyl, they have you covered there. Here we have the speaker selector, A or B, or both A plus B. And they also have the off option, which allows you to play just the headphone output without your speakers playing. Here we have the cartridge for MC and MM selection. And then we have the selection for M mono or stereo, subsonic, loudness, line straight, and line straight is for purists. If you have this on, it will bypass most of the features that we just talked about for a more pure sound. Here we have the tone controls. This knob right here allows you to choose which low frequency you want to control. And then you can increase or decrease the chosen frequency by plus minus 8 dB. Same thing with the treble. You have the choice of 1.5K, 3K, or 6K, and you can use this knob labeled treble to adjust it. On the back of the unit, aside from the inputs we already covered, we have the rec out and monitor section, and we have the pre-out and main in. This main input can be used if you want to use this unit as just an amplifier. To do this, you would have to switch the separate to on the front panel. This separates the amplifier from the preamplifier section, allowing you to use this unit just as an amplifier. Inside the unit, you can find 4 6L6 GC output tubes which is a tube that has, again, stood the test of time just like Luxman products. These type of tubes have been more than 70 years of history behind them that we won't get into in this video. But they are known for their great sonic capabilities, and you can also see 3 ECC82 types tubes in the driver stage. Of course, you see the high quality output transformers expected of a company who never lost focus in creating great vacuum gear. Now, in a push-pull configuration, the LX-380 outputs 20 watts into 6 ohms, 18 watts into 8 ohms, and 14 watts into 4 ohms. Now, that isn't such an impressive power rating. And I was fully expecting to say that the LX-380 would be only capable of driving sensitive speakers. But to my surprise, it drove not most, but all of the speakers I have in here for review. And let me tell you, I have a lot. Now, granted, I don't have the most demanding speakers in my space right now, but some of these speakers do like some power to really come to life. Let's say the ELAC Vela speakers, for example. These are the ELAC Vela 407s. Sounds good with some low power tube amplifier or solid state amplifier that I have tested in the past, but it really starts to sing when paired up with the right powerful amplifiers outputting 100 watts, 200 watts, or more. But with the Luxman LX-380, the ELAC Velas never sounded more musical, dynamic, and lifelike in my system. Also, the volume was never a problem. It was plenty loud, and when I cranked it up to the volume like ear-splitting levels to test if the LX-380 would ever strain, it never did. In fact, it was the quite opposite. It was rather effortless. Now that brings me to the individual elements of the sound. Let's start off with the high frequency. The high frequency is going to be very sparkly and very refined, as expected of a good vacuum tube it is designed. But not only that, it seems to extend effortlessly without feeling strained or constricted in any way or fashion. It's like going out to the beach and feeling like your chest open up. There's no brightness, no harshness about it. In a way, it's like the Hagel H190, but with more endless extension in the air, in the high frequency. It is almost like tapping onto a whole new level of airiness and extension that almost seems endless. Now, moving on to the mid frequencies. The similar effect takes place. It almost feels like there's more space for the entire music to play out. It has that warm characteristic of a tube amplifier, but it is much more than that. It delivers music with emotion. It has life to the sound. There are many amplifiers that allowed me to have an emotional connection with the music, but there were very few that made me tear up. Listening to Long After You're Gone by Chris Jones, for example, which is a track that resonates with me a lot and I love, I was tearing up, and let me tell you, I was in a pretty good mood that day. In that track, guitars, drums are not only heard, but felt with visceral impact. And again, with vocals, it's the same deal. You not only hear, but feel the vibration, the vibrato coming from the singer's throat and body. It is almost like a therapy in a way. There's a sense of wetness in the vocals and instruments, and you hear every detail, such as lip smacks, swallowing, even gasping for the air in the singer's voice. But there's no sense of dryness or harshness that I found with some of the solid state amplifiers. I want to say that it sounds natural and lifelike, but it is more than that. I often say that some hi-fi systems seems to sound better than what we hear in the real world, and this is, my experience with the LX-380. It just sounded better than what I heard in concerts or any real live performances. Now moving on to the low frequencies. The mid-bass region is slightly elevated, and it is so seamless that I would have not noticed if I wasn't trying to evaluate each element. This adds to the effect that I heard in the mid-range, warmth and visceral impact that is rather felt than heard. The bass is well textured and very satisfying. It is full sounding, but it doesn't have the classical downfall of some tube amplifiers that sounds a little bit muddy, undefined, or sluggish. It is quite defined, but perhaps not as focused or tight as some solid-state amplifiers in the same class. It is able to really dig into the lower octave, if your speakers are capable, then it seems to do a great job of controlling it as well. Now moving on to the caveats. In terms of the sound, I really don't have any caveats. The only caveat that I could find, and I really needed to dig for this one, is that if you are new to some of these settings Luxman has, you may need to take some time to go through the manual and learn them, as there are many features in the unit. And that pretty much covers my review of the Luxman 380. If you like the video, then please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.